Hello and welcome to some more Star Citizen. There was a VentureBeat interview with Chris Roberts going over Chris talking about private investors, running the project, funding, financials, open development, and future plans for the company and the games. The video is a summary of that article and interview. The full article is linked down below. In an interview with GamesBeat VentureBeat, Roberts said that the $46 million funding that they had secured from private investors will be used for marketing of the single-player game Squadron 42 and Star Citizen, at least primarily, and that's its intended purpose at the moment. They could use it on other stuff if they wanted as well, other than purchasing yachts or something for themselves. And they are confident about a Squadron 42 Episode 1 debut release in Q3 or 4 of 2020. Though the article did say that, it's good to mention that there is definitely the possibility of delays. The two games have now raised over $211 million in crowdfunding, and the project is the most crowdfunded thing of all time. But obviously, more money has gone into the project beyond that, with that private investment of $46 million and subscribers putting money in for having those subscriber shows like Around the Verse and Reverse the Verse and all that sort of jazz as well. According to Chris, Squadron 42 is going to be worth the wait, but it is taking a long time. He compared some stuff to Rockstar having something like 3,000 people working on games like Red Dead Redemption 2 compared to around 500 on Star Citizen. And they're probably, at Star Citizen, paying their staff less too. They're not handing out big bonuses yet, as they want as much money as possible spent on development. They are spending time on making the game look and feel great, rather than getting it out the door. Roberts recognises some cognitive dissonance of gamers wanting something out now, but also it being the best it can be. They could make more money by pumping out games as a studio or making business software, but they are trying to make a truly great set of games. The open development process has allowed for the inclusion of other people's from the community's ideas much more easily than you'd get with other projects, and they're evolving mechanics, especially for the persistent universe, with that community feedback. It's a live game environment that they're trying to improve iteratively, in addition to adding and merging in new features that they've already committed to do. He acknowledges that there's a fair amount of backers that totally get their methodology with that, but there are also a good number of backers that look at it with a "is it released yet" lens. He compares this status to DayZ or Minecraft in the early days, but they are doing Star Citizen in a newer way. CIG have been posting their required financials in the UK each year. They released their more full financials to the public recently to combat people doing the back of the napkin type of maths. How much are they spending? Do they have enough money to finish the game? And sort of like armchair financial forensics that they see online occasionally. This now means that they're pretty much open development and an open ongoing company, so you can actually see their project quite transparently. They are committed to using all the crowdfunding money on actual game development. Roberts acknowledges that there are problems with money raised headlines like Star Citizen raises $200 million, because people then immediately think that the company is incredibly minted, or they're buying yachts, or they have spent all the money on themselves. They have 500 people in 5 studios, and now with the financials available for everyone to view, you can see exactly what they're spending the money on. They have teams running hundreds of AWS, the Amazon Web Services servers, a team running community and forums, player relations, and a lot of fully developed departments that you'd only typically see when a game had been fully released and by a sort of like fully set up studio or publisher. Staff are less expensive in Europe than in the US, for what they want anyway, which is why most of their staffing is in Europe. I am going to read one of the questions and answers more accurately, as I think it's quite important. GamesBeat asked, on the overall financial picture, it looks like you had to spend a lot of what you've raised. There's not a ton of cushion. You're not riding very comfortably. Roberts answered, the counter, I would say. We have had 5 years of revenue history. That's where I'd point. We don't operate, I think everyone thinks you had $200 million to make a game and you've spent it and that's it. That's not the way it is. Every day we bring in money, every day we have new people joining. We operate very much like a live product. What we do is every year we forecast what we'll be doing over the year, and that sets out our spending targets. Generally, we've been incredibly accurate on our forecasts over the last 4 years. We maybe had 2 to 5% deviation from our forecasts, which is pretty decent. Yes, you could say you have 20 million in the bank and that's only so much for operations, but there's not ever been a case where we've gone to $0. There's no history to say we would do that. That's kind of like me saying, yes, if Electronic Arts didn't bring in another cent, they'd be out of money in short order because they have pretty heavy running costs. We've also set it up in a way that if we're seeing a drop-off, we'd scale back our development ambition, but we haven't, so we've been planning for that and getting stuff out. We obviously anticipate that when Squadron 42 comes out, that there's going to be a big revenue positive event for us. We have a bunch of people who've backed for Star Citizen and pledged for Squadron, but that game has the potential to reach millions more people than our current base. Our approach was that we wanted to the money we're bringing in from crowdfunding, we're committed to spending on the game and development. If we saw a change in that velocity or trajectory of the revenue coming in, then we would make an adjustment to our internal development spending. We have a few levers to pull, but we've been pretty steady as we've gone along. We felt comfortable in our planning on that. It would be great if we sat on billions of dollars and we could work for 20 years without bringing in any more money, but we won't be anywhere near there until we release Squadron and get a little further on. Some of the other valuations of the company put it between 700 million and 1 billion, apparently, although it has been valued, at least from their sort of like internal valuations, at $496 million. Roberts is proud that they've built a company worth $500 million plus already. He thinks if everything goes to plan with Squadron 42 and it's big and Star Citizen gets some more traction, they'd be aiming for WoW-like sizes, so World of Warcraft type player bases and money's made, I think. He does do some light comparisons of how Epic is now worth 15 billion because of Fortnite, and he thinks CIG and Star Citizen have the potential to hit some big numbers. He says the private investors of Star Citizen that put in $46 million, Clive and Keith, have gotten a good deal, but it's also great for CIG at this point, giving them flexibility and continued independence from any form of publishers or third parties that might affect the project. They are using that money primarily for advertising or Squadron 42, though technically they could use it for any company needs, it looks like. In regard to that advertising, they are going to be doing some traditional marketing, viral community marketing, and some other bits and bobs, I suspect. They are able to choose and control this entirely themselves, though. They're not putting it up to a third party. They are in full control of their marketing. Chris holds 75% of the company personally still and has full board control. The investors understand this and are on board with the project and how it operates, and with Star Citizen as a cool thing. Chris loves the fact they can engage the community all year round and build a world for the long game, building something that will last many years rather than having to push things out the door. Red Dead Redemption 2 might have been a disaster if it came out a year earlier without polish. The new CIG board members, Dan Offner, has been appointed to represent Clive and Keith's interests. Chris has known Dan for many years, and he'll make a useful advisor. Eli is the other board member and a personal friend of Chris. He's been helping advise on funding sources and marketing for Squadron 42 and Star Citizen, but doesn't directly represent the interests of Clive and Keith. He is a separate entity, basically. They thought it was a good idea to expand their board to have some more additional insight and advice as their company grows. They do have some additional governance items to protect these minority investors now, but there's no override of control. It's basically just saying they can't spend any of that money on something like a super yacht or something for their personal needs rather than the company or the game's needs. Chris wants to put all of the money back into the game as well, at least for the foreseeable future. Star Citizen would have never have been backed by a publisher at its early stages, and they acknowledge that. Chris and the CIG team have a lot of experience now behind them, but they are doing something that no one has done before. They are confident that Squadron 42 and Star Citizen are going to be major successes, but they are not doing things for the short term. It's all long-term end game stuff. In regard to some more of the investment stuff, I do want to read you this full paragraph again. In the case of the investment, the other thing we see all the time, and it's not like we're not aware of it, is, okay, this is great, you're doing the game, but how are you going to run the servers? How are you going to launch the game? How are you going to do the marketing? Where will you get all the money from? This is essentially saying, we know that we've been running our business this way so far, and we'll continue to run it in this way. Here is how we're taking care of some of the additional needs we'll have to go from development to full launch without having to rely on a third party. For me, I think the investment is very important for our independence because it gives us the ability to take our time. We have the ability to take care of our marketing and not just be beholden to someone else. For the future of the company, it's a really good sign, and it's a good sign to show that even at this stage, the company is worth this kind of money. As we grow and get bigger, it should only increase beyond that. That should give people who are worried about whether we'll be around tomorrow, they shouldn't be so worried about that. So they kind of want players to feel like they're living in a huge sci-fi universe come movie. There's an emotional connection and they have this great level of performance from the actors, but these performances are happening fluidly around you in cinematic quality while you play the game. It's not cutscenes, you are part of the whole experience. Missions blend in with you moving around, eating, resting. When you're traveling to new areas on your carrier or whatever, you're still having the pre-mission, the sort of briefing, you do the mission and then you have the traveling back to your carrier and then you're going to have your debriefing and then it all starts again for the next mission. But you will go around and potentially rest and relax with the rest of the crew and talk to them, and maybe there's little side missions that you could do on the ship and stuff like that. The difference between this and a movie is that every single secondary character has their own arcs and stories, and you can get involved with that. Chris feels like they're going a level above Red Dead Redemption 2 and God of War and Last of Us 2 with that acting and characters. You'll still be making choices, choosing who to befriend and hang out with. Things will unfold, characters might die. It's not just an interactive film, there's an emotional connection and a hell of a lot of gameplay going in here. I hope that was interesting or informative in some way. Please have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. During December, we are giving away a Star Citizen game package, Saber Raven, and CitizenCon 2948 goodies pack. All you need to do to be in for a chance of winning those is be subscribed to my YouTube channel and comment on any of my videos made during December. More details are linked below. And if you are considering getting a new gaming PC or upgrading, first please consider the Shadow Cloud gaming service. It leverages the power of your internet connection to turn a device, be it phone, laptop, tablet, or PC, into a powerful Windows 10 gaming rig. I've seen people just use their phones and a gamepad now to play Star Citizen. It works great for me in Star Citizen Alpha 3.3.7, and the Shadow guys keep on updating both their hardware and software. Your mileage may vary with Shadow though, based on your internet connection, so please bear that in mind. It is subscription based, and using the code BoredGamer will net you a discount. If you don't have Star Citizen yet, then please check out the links below as well to get 5,000 UEC, the in-game currency, as a bonus. Any comments and feedback is appreciated. Please take care, guys, and I'll see you in the verse.